Okay, today I'm joined by Devin Clark. He's fighting Ion Cutelaba on September 18th for the UFC. Devin, how you doing, man?
Doing great. Just got done training and now I'm relaxing a little bit.
So this fight was originally booked for May, but you had to pull out through COVID. Just firstly, how are you feeling now?
I'm feeling great now. I was actually able to get took about 2 weeks of downtime with the whole COVID thing, and I was kind of able to get back to work right away. So just been training, staying in shape, and uh getting ready for whatever was next. And then we end up getting the fight in September. So it was a good deal.
So it sounds like you got a bit lucky because obviously we've seen some fighters who have had some really long-term effects from COVID, right?
hmm Yeah, you hear of fighters having lung issues and not being able to get back with their cardio and stuff like that. But so far, I'm good. Hopefully, all the tests and stuff that I'll have to take, they work out and everything's normal. But cardio seems good. Yeah, I'm in pretty good shape, almost fight shape. So uh, going pretty good so far.
So how has this extra time and then seeing Cutelaba fight Dustin Jacoby in the meantime, has that changed the way you look at this fight at all?
Um, it's kind of what we expected. Um, there's some stuff that he did in that fight that kind of will work. If he would have done that against me, it would have worked in my favor quite a bit, especially trying to wrestle me and
Yeah.
stuff like that. So hopefully he stays with that same game plan. I doubt he will after seeing how it worked out for him. Uh, but yeah, nothing too surprising.
So what are your thoughts on him in general as an opponent then?
What's that?
What are your thoughts on Ion Cutelaba in general as an opponent?
I like his personality and how he handles himself before fights. Usually, he never really keeps the same energy during his fights, but he's pretty gets amped up and does unprofessional stuff when it leads. Yeah, I guess I shouldn't say unprofessional because it's fighting. So like how
Yeah.
can you get too unprofessional when you're just fighting? But I just don't like some of his pre-fight antics, um, and at the same time, I'm also going to embrace that, and I can kind of play along with that too. So I think it'll work out good if I just naturally don't like the guy, which has never happened with any of my opponents. All my opponents have been really respectful and everything like that before the fight. So it's really hard to have that kind of, have any anger towards them at all. But I think it'll be a little bit different with Ian.
Yeah, so you're quite a calm guy. How do you plan on dealing with that like chaotic side he brings?
I can be chaotic too. My life's been a little chaotic, and if you've I don't know if you've seen my dad at all
Yeah.
or heard my dad
Yeah.
during my fights. I have that same energy. I have to hide it, So that same guy can come out at any time, and Kudalaba might be the guy that brings it out in me. So we'll see.
Yeah. Obviously you mentioned your dad there, so it's a good segue. Having him in your corner, does that put more pressure on you, or how do you just kind of find that dynamic?
It's not more pressure. It's that's been that dynamic. He's always there with me, whatever sport I've been playing or whatever I'm doing, wrestling, football, baseball. He's always yelling, same volume. So I'm just kind of used to that voice. And sometimes, and you'll see in some of my fights, I'll kind of yell at him like, "Dad, stop, like calm down, I got it." Like, but it's a little bit back and forth, but it's for the good. It's good for me. Um, and he knows how to push my buttons and keep me grounded and keep me focused at times. So
We've seen during the pandemic that a lot of fights have been made at shorter notice. So you've seen a lot of fights being made sort of a month before. You've got
mhm.
pretty much a full camp for this fight. Does that feel a bit refreshing?
Yeah, like when I got news, it was almost like 3 months.
Yeah.
Um, and sometimes it's not the case where I'm already in shape when I get a fight. But this time I'm like, damn, I'm starting like almost in fight shape. I've had time off, like I'm totally I didn't get injured or anything like that. So I've been healthy and able to train, and usually I'm coming off an injury or something from a previous fight, broken face or broken
Yeah.
foot, hand, something like that, which we train through, but it's still a different it's a different kind of training. So being totally healthy and already in shape, taking a fight, 3 months out, it's just, it adds to the preparation and giving me a little bit of a one up there.
So you obviously mentioned there you're in fight shape now. We've got a little under 3 months until the fight now. So how do you kind of maintain that shape without overtraining?
We'll see. I live in South Dakota and I do my fight camp in Albuquerque, New Mexico. So, and I usually go down there about 6 weeks before my fight. And that's when we kind of really amp up the training. So I'm at a high level of training right now. So I'm training, 2-3 times a day right now. And down there I should be able to train about 4 or 5. And those aren't, when I say 4 or 5, that's like not all crazy sessions. It could be lighter sessions, but it's just, I'm training all day down there. My life, when I'm down there, I'm away from my family. So everything is training. So we really get dialed in and really focused. But leading up to that, I do a lot of strength and conditioning right now. Then I'll do my jujitsu and a little bit of striking and stuff like that. So not a whole lot of crazy live goes and not a lot of crazy sparring or anything like that right now.
So by the time the fight comes, it will have been about 10 months since the Anthony Smith fight. Obviously you had the COVID situation in this time, but what improvements do you feel you've made in this layoff?
From the Anthony Smith fight, just a lot more mental clarity. Me and my family were going through a lot at that time. We lost my mother-in-law like a week before, and it was just and as a fighter, you think you can handle anything, you can push through anything, but that was definitely heavy on my mind, and it kind of showed. I just wasn't too focused, but since then, we've had a little time, and like I said, mental clarity, a lot of mental clarity now, and being able to focus just on fighting and winning this fight and being in shape and just staying on task.
Obviously, we saw how that fight went, but what positives were you able to take from that being in the main event spotlight as well?
That whole experience of going in main event and having to deal with the last minute changes of being the main event, and also, okay, now you're going to 25, 5 rounds, you can fight 5 rounds, and just the mental acceptance of all that in a day's notice, and then everything else that I had going on. So I'm proud of myself for actually making it to the fight and stepping in there with an attitude of I'm going to kill this guy. I didn't really I wasn't technically focused, but I was ready to fight, and that's the main thing for me is getting up for the fight. A lot of people would have went home. I didn't. I stayed. I fought, and didn't get the outcome I wanted, but we did get in there and against a worthy opponent, in the spotlight too. So a lot of good that came out of it.
Did you feel you were ready for that step up at the time then? Because obviously he was ranked 6 and you weren't ranked at the time. That's quite a big step up. You don't see that a lot.
I definitely feel I was ready for it. The timing was a little off, but definitely if we run that fight back, it's a totally different fight, guaranteed. I know he's beatable. I know I can beat him. And as well as anybody else in the division. I've had close fights with a lot of the top 15 guys, top 3, top 4, the champion even. So I definitely know I can do that. I just have to come focused and stick to a game plan.
So Anthony Smith's definitely a fight you're looking to get back at some point, right?
Yeah, that'd be great to get that fight back. I've talked to Anthony a little bit. We've actually talked about doing some training and stuff like that. But so it's kind of just one of those, almost a gentleman's fight, but it's it's a fun fight.
Yeah.
Especially if it goes all 3 rounds or 5 rounds, that's a fun fight. Now I know not to go on the ground with him right away in the first couple minutes, but it's something that can be planned for and adjusted. So
looking forward a second, you've also talked about obviously the champion Blachowicz, and you talked about wanting to fight Rakic again as well. But apart from these two, who else do you have on your mind as potential future opponents?
Uh, anybody that's going to be in my way of getting to the title. It's fighting for the title is still my main goal, and that's what we want to get back to. We've had some ups and downs, and unexpectedly, I thought I was going to come in the UFC, and I was undefeated when I got in the UFC, and I lost my first fight. I'm like, okay, that's the one loss, and then now I've lost 5 now, so definitely not the way I wanted things to go. But you see it quite a bit. Guys bounce back, and I believe I'm one of those guys that can easily bounce back, just get the right focus. And I'm starting to enter my prime. I'm 31 now, so I'm in that realm of getting in my prime, just not quite there even. I think about 34 I'll be one of the top guys in the sport, let alone the division. But those guys that beat me early on, before they were even top 15, after they beat me, they just kind of kept bumping up, especially Jan and Rakic. So definitely want to get those back.
Were you expecting Jan to kind of go on that run after your fight? Because obviously he's a bit of an older guy. A lot of people didn't really see that coming.
No, I didn't see it coming. And I didn't see him beat me. It was one of those fights I walked in to like, okay, I got this. Like, I got this guy's number. I'm a better athlete. I can move better. And he just showed his resilience, and he's one of the best underdogs in the sport right now.
Yeah.
For him to do what he did, and he was doubted every time. Every time it's like, there's no way. Oh, there he goes.
Yeah.
So a lot of respect for him for doing what he's done.
And obviously that fight was in Poland as well, so that must have been a crazy experience, right?
Yeah. But the I must say the Poland fans were they were pretty cool.
Yeah.
And one of the things that threw me off before the fight, I'm walking out, and it was my first time fighting overseas, or first time going overseas. And I was expecting to get booed, and because he's the home guy. And I walk out, and nobody's booing. There's actually people cheering for me. I'm like, what? So it's like it threw me off. I'm like, what is this? They're way too nice right now. But yeah.
So obviously the champ is the goal. How different is that in your mind now that the champ isn't a friend and teammate of yours and Jon Jones?
That definitely changed a little bit. It was almost like an acceptance of, okay, now I can really go for that, and I can hate the guy that's on top right now, or I can, I can want to be there instead of him being there. And when Jon was champion, it's like, I don't want to, I wouldn't even want to take that away from him or anything. Like, how would that even work to get up that far and then, have to fight him or not fight him? Like, it was a little bit of a thing, but thankfully that probably won't happen. So
you and Jon are pretty close friends, right?
Yeah. We've been, training partners and stuff like that over the years, and friends, and yeah, it's cool, dude.
So what do you think's gonna happen with him at the minute?
I don't know. That's up, between him and the UFC, whatever they get worked out. I'm just hoping that it's in his favor.
Yeah.
He's done so much for the sport and for the UFC that, I think it's kind of owed to him a big fight, and he should be able to make the money that he wants. Because nobody can deny what he's done for the sport. I mean, it's just, he's the greatest that we've had, and he's proven it, and he's backed it up. And so we'll see what happens.
I talked to one of your teammates about this, Juan Adams. How do you kind of see Jon physically at heavyweight?
Like, I don't think training with him, you realize, because I don't know how other people see, but he's a pretty big guy in person. Like, he's not a skinny guy, a scrawny dude by any means, even at when he's fighting at 205. So at heavyweight, I think he's gonna probably bring the same kind of presence and same kind of game or fight. but he'll just be a lot bigger and a lot stronger doing it. So I don't think it's going to change his game all that much, but he's definitely just a lot more power.
Yeah.
He's got a good group of guys training with him right now, and he's doing all the right things. So to make that adjustment up to heavyweight.
Moving back to obviously your division and champion, Jan Blachowicz. I'm gonna edit that out. Who do you feel, apart from yourself, has the biggest chance of dethroning him, or is the biggest threat to him?
That's the thing. Any of these guys could do that.
Yeah.
But it's I don't know if he's got a fight coming up with Glover.
Yeah.
I think. I don't know if Glover's the guy. I don't know. That'll be a good fight though. But I think any of this division, it's pretty tough right now. Any of those guys could get that belt. It's just, and it seems to be a little bit of a theme across the weight classes, just being able to stay focused long enough to get a victory. Some of the guys that have gone out that we weren't really expecting, they just lost focus, and much like me, just kind of messed things up in the moment. But I think things can change on any given night with any fight.
Just stepping away from the cage for a second, in your spare time, you do a lot of work to help youth with Down syndrome. Talk to me about how you got started with that and the impact that has on you and the motivation it brings.
To be honest, I haven't done a lot lately. Like, I'll still give support from afar, but I haven't been too involved lately, and I need to get back into that. But I originally got started with my friend Kevin Kroger. His son Cam has Down syndrome, and that's kind of how we, and he's from Sioux Falls, South Dakota. That's where I live, and we kind of just started working together a little bit on kind of marketing and things like that. And there became opportunities to help some of these groups and go and meet some of these kids, and it turned out to be a really good deal and something that I love doing. And the biggest part I have right now is when I go into Albuquerque, there's an adaptive MMA program at Jackson Wink MMA. So I'll go and spend a little extra time and hang out with some of the kids that are training there, some of the adaptive kids, and help them with some of their training, or just go and hang out with them.
So moving back to the fight, September 18th, are we looking at the Apex for that fight, right?
I think so, but that could change on the contract. It's still to be determined. So
Right.
There's no place set in stone yet.
All right, cool. So what did you make of the whole fighting without fans experience? Because obviously different fighters are gonna have different opinions on whether it helps their game or whether they feed off the energy. How do you feel about that?
I don't think it matters a whole lot. My first fight at the Apex against Alonzo Manningfield, it didn't matter at all. I was still able to get up, and it didn't really matter, and I could hear everybody, but it felt like kind of the same as usual. I don't know if that's because he broke my face right away in the first round, so it was like everything else was tuned out. But then on the Anthony Smith fight, when I got in the cage, it just felt different. Like,
Yeah.
I don't know, I felt a little bit. It just felt flat in the whole vibe felt flat. So I don't know. So I've had two different experiences. One was good, one was bad. But I'm definitely excited to get fans back. Hopefully, fight in front of fans soon. It's always, not having it. Now I realized how cool it is and how important it is to have thousands of fans, cheering for you or booing for you, whatever. Just kind of, and then at slow spots in the fights, they're always woo woo, like, and that does do something. It's like, okay, let's fight, let's go. So I am excited to get the fans back.
That's interesting you mentioned that. I want to touch on that a little bit more. So if you hear the crowd wooing, we'll say, do you think of that in your mind and think, oh, we need to do something here?
Yeah, absolutely. It's a trigger for sure. And I think it's got to be for everybody, because it's like, it's hard to just sit there against the cage when they're going woo woo woo. It makes you move, and for me anyways. So yeah, and I don't mind it at all, because it's instant feedback, which is I think is good in a sport like this.
You think something like that in the referee's mind as well? Because obviously, if there's like a bit of a stalemate on the ground and the crowd are booing, do you think that would impact the referee's decision to kind of stand him up earlier?
I think some refs were like, I think a lot of refs have to like kind of tune out the crowd, because that's got to be an aspect in every fight where, okay, do you choose to listen to the crowd a little more or your best judgment? And I think they usually have to go with best judgment because half the crowd is drunk. And they just want to see blood. So I know there's times where guys are on the ground and the one guy's working pretty good, but it doesn't look like it from a fan's point of view, with the jiu-jitsu, or, these guys are trying to advance, but it looks like they're just rolling around on the ground. And I think in that situation, it's the ref's best choice to just listen to his, let him fight.
So, ideal scenario, Ion Cutelaba, September 18th. We get a win. What's next?
Get a win, and then maybe one more this year. It's been, it'd be back to back. So hopefully get a quick fight, quick win, and maybe fight once more this year, and get another. Just cut. At this point, winning matters. Yeah. So win this fight, try to get a new contract, get a little more money, then get set up for the next one, and then who knows from there. A few good fights and we could be in that, top 10, top 5 range, and then started talking about fighting the champ again, and it could happen that quick in a division like this.
So looking, say, July next year, a year down the line, what's going to be happening for you? Let's make a prediction.
July next year?
Yeah, a year from now, what's going to be happening for Devin Clark?
Shoot, that's I'm knocking somebody out. I'm knocking somebody out, and they're talking about if I'm the next champ.
Yeah. Just finally, 2 or 3 pieces of advice that you would give. Doesn't have to be MMA related, just that anyone who sees this interview can kind of take from it.
3 pieces of advice. Always work hard. That's pretty like cliche, I guess, or common for people to give advice, but it's something that I've learned a long time ago, and that my dad always taught me. You work hard, respect people, give people respect, and then the biggest one that's helped me in my life, especially in athletics, and I think this is really important for any athlete, young or old. From like 4 or 5 years old, my dad taught me, always be first. So like, always be first in line, be the first to do a sprint, be first, be a leader, and the rest will follow. But the opportunities that being first has got me has been huge. And I took that into fighting as well. And also there's like in the actual fight of, be the first one to go out there and make some action happen. And that got me my UFC contract and stuff like that. So I think that's the most important one, is be first. And you can take that a few different ways, but because some people just aren't leaders and don't have that drive, but it takes some self-drive and a strong mentality to be first every time, because you're putting a lot of pressure on yourself. If you're first, you actually have to, you have to show that you have to work hard. You have to go hard. Yeah. Else you're going to embarrass yourself. So, be first, work hard, show respect.
Love that. Where can people keep up with you? And feel free just to shout out any sponsors you've got now if you want.
Just at Brown Bear UFC on Instagram, and Brown Bear C on Twitter. That's it.
Awesome. I want to thank you for the time today. Best of luck in September. It feels like a long way away, doesn't it? But it's going to come around quick.
It is a long way, but it's like I said before, it's nice though. It's nice being able to prepare this long, and see you in September.
Yeah, best of luck in September against Cutelaba. You've got this. I'm pulling for you.
All right, I appreciate it. Thank you.
Thanks for the time today.